and she was saying things like we didn't love her.
I was kicking them and screaming and just going crazy.
It was just so unreal.
Our hearts were breaking, Rob. I'm crying on the couch looking at my husband. We don't know what to do. Being a nurse, I really didn't feel comfortable with leaving my 13-year-old daughter in a psychiatric unit. As a nurse, I understand it, but I was still very upset about it.
On this episode,
for 6 months, high school freshman Jessica Ciccone has experienced bizarre episodes where she sleeps 10 days straight and must be forced to eat and drink. But when all of Jessica's neurological exams return normal, her neurologist concludes that the root of her episodes must be psychological.
My husband and I did not really believe that that was the problem, but not wanting to put our heads in the sand, we felt that we should go down that avenue. And we did find a therapist that was willing to take a teenager to have her evaluated.
The Ciccones make 2 more appointments for Jessica, one with a psychotherapist, the other for an EEG. But no sooner have these been made than Jessica once again emerges from her most recent 10-day stupor.
The next morning, she woke up, and again, a dramatic change, completely normal, full of energy. A person we hadn't seen for, again, 10 days was there again. It's unsettling to see such a dramatic change in your child.
A day later, Robin takes Jessica in for the EEG, or electroencephalogram. The test measures electrical brain activity.
I would have preferred this EEG having been done a few days ago while she was sleeping, but we couldn't do it then.
And, as Robin suspects, the EEG comes back perfectly normal. The therapy session is soon after, and, though skeptical, the Ciccones hope that maybe they will find some answers there.
The visit with the therapist was just talking. She was trying to see if there was depression, and I knew I wasn't depressed. I'm a very happy person, so I didn't think that was a possibility.
The therapist didn't see anything wrong with her. Of course, at this time, Jessica is perfectly healthy. She only knew what I was telling her of the past 2 episodes. It was like when you have a car that has a knock, and you take it into your mechanic, and it stops having the knock, and you're explaining to them what the problem is, and they're telling you, lady, I can't fix it because I don't know what you're talking about. I can't find it.
But a month later, Jessica comes home from school complaining of feeling fuzzy again. Robin and John brace themselves for the worst. When Jessica doesn't awaken for 2 days, Robin schedules an emergency appointment with the therapist.
John and I get her to the therapist's office, and I'm kind of going, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I've been saying all along. And she looks at her, and she looks at us, and she said, oh my God, now I understand what you were saying.
The therapist suggests admitting Jessica to a psychiatric unit for observation, but Robin and John refuse.
Being a nurse, I really didn't feel comfortable with leaving my 13-year-old daughter in a psychiatric unit. I didn't want to have her anywhere that I could not be at least staying with her and watching her.
Having no other options at the moment, we did agree to put her on antidepressants.
After a few months of being on these medications, she continued to have episodes, and she did not find any relief. So after 6 months, the therapist terminated her treatment, saying that she didn't feel there was anything wrong with her and she didn't need any therapy at this time.
But the bizarre episodes continue to wreak havoc on Jessica's life. After missing weeks of school, she's forced to hire a tutor just to keep up.
I was getting behind in school. I would be explaining to more and more people that I don't know what's going on, but I've been sleeping for 10 days, and I feel weird when it happens, and I am not functioning, and that's all I can tell them.
But when Jessica is not in the midst of an episode, she's perfectly fine. It is during one of these normal periods that Jessica plans to go on a bus trip to Canada with her summer camp. But near the end of the ride, it begins to happen all over again.
I was feeling fuzzy and zoned out, and I called my mom on the bus, and I was just crying, telling her that I'm getting sick again.
After a few phone calls and a very expensive plane ticket, we managed to get her flown home from Canada into Kennedy Airport.
Robin decides to take Jessica immediately to a hospital when the plane lands, so she can finally be seen by a neurologist while in the throes of an episode.
The neurologist met us there at the hospital, and we had scheduled her for a CAT scan and an MRI and another EEG. John and I felt that this was great, actually, because we were getting these tests done while she was having the episode. Maybe then they could find out what was the matter with her.
But even though she's in the middle of an episode, all of Jessica's test results return normal. Her CAT scan, MRI, and EEG reveal a healthy, if sleepy, teenager.
They said, there's nothing we can do for her here. You could take her home. She could sleep at home as well as she could sleep here. As a nurse, I understand it, but I was still very upset about it.
Devastated, Robin and John bring Jessica back home. Then, one evening, after being forced awake to drink, Jessica's frustration boils over.
She was laying on the couch and she was crying.
Jessica became very emotional and started to say things like, "What did you put inside me?" And "Get this out of my head."
Banging her fists, and she was saying things like we didn't love her.
I was kicking them and screaming and just going crazy.
It was just so unreal.
Our hearts were breaking, Mom. I'm crying on the couch looking at my husband. We don't know what to do with her.
For me, the worst thing was that I didn't have anything that I felt I could do.
Jessica's mysterious episodes are taking a toll on the family, with no credible diagnosis in sight.
We don't have an answer for our daughter when she asks us what's the matter with her. She's thinking at times that she's crazy.
I always thought that it would just not happen again. I was hoping that it wouldn't happen again. Actually, by then I knew that it would probably happen again.
The fear is that this is something that could be progressive. It could be, just threatening to everything in her life.
You just wanted to cry. We had no idea of what was wrong with her.